Is there thousands of martial arts, or is there only real one? Let's explore that question when we come back. Master Jonathan Field here of Cobourg Taekwondo. I am a 6th-degree black belt in Taekwondo and the owner of Cobourg Taekwondo. Now the question is there thousands of different styles of martial arts, or is there really only one? I want to play devil's advocate today, and I'm going to say there's only one. I had this epiphany moment a few hours before I decided to film this video, and basically this is my whole thought process on this. So, there's only one martial art. Now we'll say there's different styles. Taekwondo is a style, karate is a style, Jiu Jitsu is a style, boxing is a style, kickboxing style. We have all these sub-styles within each style, but ultimately, I want you to take a look at it this way. Martial art has been around since man. It never really had any name. Humans like to add names to it. We like to name something so that we can identify with it, so we can own it, so we can understand it. But martial arts is one of those things that, like I said, literally exists from day one. Like, a punch is only a punch, a kick's a kick, an arm bar is an arm bar, a throw is a throw. There's only so many different ways that we can do a technique, and no one style can claim to have invented that technique, because ultimately the human body creates martial arts. So the human body's been around like thousands or even hundreds of thousands of years. So whether it's through evolution or whether it's through God made us this way, whatever way you believe, the end result is going to be the same. In that we have this body, our body can only function and move so many different ways. You can only move so many different ways before you destroy it. It can only be strong in certain planes, it can be weak in other planes. So all humans have really done was discover what our bodies can do. And then different parts of the world develop different styles of martial arts, or how I want to look at it, they develop different strategies of martial art. Of course, each strategy has its own name, or what we consider styles: Taekwondo, karate, Jiu Jitsu, Aikido, Taekwondo, boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, you name it, it's going to go on and on and on, right? But see, different parts of the world develop these different styles or strategies in the martial art, just because it's like anything else in the world, right? In different countries, different parts of the world, you have different languages, and even in different geological places, you have different accents, and then even within a certain country, depending on what town or city or geography you're in, you might have a different accent or a different dialect. So you have different accent or different dialect. And I think that's basically what martial arts is. If we're just speaking different dialects or different languages of the martial art, but ultimately it's all the same. Like whether you're throwing a boxing punch, a karate punch, a taekwondo punch, it's the same file mechanic, like slightly change it. And then we also gotta look at each style or strategy. A lot of times it's based on the rules of that style, especially in modern martial arts over the last 100 years, 150 years or so. You have very specific rules, especially when we have martial arts competition. Taekwondo has a certain set of rules, kickboxing has a certain set of rules, Jiu Jitsu has a certain set of rules, Judo has their rules, boxing has a rule. And so, again, the strategy is based on those rules. But ultimately, again, when you look at the whole picture of martial arts as a whole, a punch is a punch, a roundhouse is a roundhouse kick, a side kick is a side kick, an arm bar is an arm bar. They all come back to basic fundamental movement and file mechanics of the martial arts and of the human body. So really, when I look at it, yeah, martial arts in itself is one big whole. That's why I kind of say, even though we have, even myself, we have a title of martial art master or a taekwondo master or whatever style, or we'll have a grand master, master instructor, Kwon, sensei, Sifu, and the list go on, even though we say that, really, you're ultimately a master of that little tiny bit of the martial art, of that strategy, or that style. I've always said it's hard to be a real, true master of the martial art as a whole, because there's so much out there. And then, actually, if you want to really look specifically at, let's say, Kung Fu, for example, like even Shaolin Kung Fu, there's so many different branches of that style, but it all goes back to fundamental. Taekwondo, you have two main styles of Taekwondo, and it goes back to the two main ones, right? You have karate, there's so many different styles of karate, but it all goes back into one. Kickboxing, there's different styles of kickboxing. All goes back to one. Even boxing, most people don't realize the difference between North American boxing and how the Mexicans do it versus the Cubans versus the British. There's multiple ways of doing it. But again, ultimately, all martial art style, or I like to think of it as strategy, come all to one. Again, all the techniques are relatively the same. Might be a little bit of tweaking, just depends on where you learned it from. But a lot of it has to do with not so much the technique itself, but how you use the technique, the strategy behind the technique. You can't really say, oh, that's a Taekwondo this, or that's a karate this, or that's a boxing this, or that's a Jiu-Jitsu this. I want you to look at it as martial arts as a whole. Like, all the techniques of martial art is all as a whole. Every style will literally, especially nowadays, borrow different techniques from different styles or different strategies. But ultimately, we all have the same techniques. We just, the style or strategy just think of it slightly different. And it's all based on like ancient warfare and what was going on in that country at that time when the style was developed. What did they need to survive or defend themselves or be successful in battle? And then again, like I said, I want to go back to modern martial art. Now it's all based on competition. The rule of that particular competition kind of dictate how that martial art style or strategy got developed. So that's really what I want to talk to you about briefly here today. Was just I want you to think of martial art as a whole. Even though you're studying a certain branch of martial art or a certain strategy, I want you to be proud of that, not like bad mouthing yourself. I'm very proud of being a Taekwondo master, and but I also incorporate other styles, other strategies into our Taekwondo here at Cobourg Taekwondo, just because I want people to have the option of knowing different strategies and to really see how all martial arts as a whole, all martial arts intertwined, they all come back to the core basic and the core fundamental, and that is basically just being human. So I'm Master Jonathan Field. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you want more of these videos, I suggest clicking on the video to the right, check out some more videos. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you really like this content and you want to have a little bit of discussion on your style of martial art, leave it in the comments below.